exam?
Yeah, I have.
I have.
I have also.
I haven't.
Okay. Well, Steve, not all of us are shooting for 100.
I haven't taken mine yet.
Rob, don't drink and take it, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not taking it. I don't give a shit.
I have
Okay,
not
Steve.
taken mine
Tony
yet.
got 100.
Steve, it
Who got
belongs to
100?
you, sir.
All right. All right. Well, this is being recorded as always. Thank you for joining us. Last week we covered balks and the pitcher. This week we're going to get into a little bit of the batter and the runner, right? And then we'll kind of go through there. Actually, I think we're going to go past the batter. We're going to go right to the runner this week. So what? Yes. We're going to go right to the runner this week. There it is. All right. So, this could be a shorter meeting. Please ask any questions you may have. I want to make sure that we give you ample opportunity to do that. Next week, we don't have a set agenda unless anybody has specific questions or specific areas of the rulebook that they want to go over. All right. So it's really just for anybody to come in, ask any questions that they want. In terms of what that looks like, again, or whatever that is, and we'll use this probably the second half of this meeting to do that as well. So to kind of get started, Rule 8 is base running. So I cannot suggest enough that we learn the base running awards table on page 51. It might be a different page this year, 53, sorry. The base running awards table tells you exactly how many bases each infraction gets and whether it's on the pitch, on the throw, or at the time of the infraction. So that's a really, really good table to learn, a really good table to memorize, right? Don't worry about the weird situations where some fair batted ball gets hit by a thrown glove, right? Let's worry about the situations that are going to happen most of the time, right? So this is what the table looks like, right? So bases award, right? So they break it down by runners or batters or both, right? So one base, runners, time of the infraction on a balk. A pitch from the pitcher's plate thrown out of play, time of the pitch. A throw from the pitcher's plate goes out of play, it's time of the throw. So last week we had that some confusion about kind of when, when they spin and throw to first and they're in contact with the pitcher's plate. Here is the rule that tells you that, hey, if he spins and throws to first, it's not a pitch, it's a throw. So it's an infraction from the time of the throw, right? But if it's a pitch from the pitcher's plate, it's from the time of the pitch, okay? And they're both one base. Got unintentional catch and carry, catcher's obstruction, also called catcher's interference, right? If they're attempting to advance. One base if they're forced because the batter is awarded first, right? Sometimes we don't think about that. Or if a pitch strikes a runner, unless that pitch is in the strike zone, right? I don't really, very rare circumstances that a pitch will hit the runner, but that has happened on a steal of home, right? One base for a batter on a walk, pitch thrown out of play on ball 4 automatically gets first base, can go no further. Batter is obstruction, so that's the same as catcher's obstruction, catcher's interference, right? Hit by pitch, runner interference, unintentional. So when there's runner interference, we know that the runner is out. However, the batter is awarded first base, okay? Umpire interference, he was hit by a batted ball, one base, and a pitch lodges in a defender's, player's, or umpire's uniform or equipment on ball 4. Okay. The rest of the table talks about 2 bases, 3 bases, 4 bases, and umpire judgment, right? So 2 bases, fair batted ball bounces over through, goes under, or lodges under a fence. So think ground rule double. A fair batted ball or thrown ball lodges in a defensive player's or umpire's uniform or equipment. Again, that goes back to the time of the pitch. Again, fair batted or thrown ball. Live thrown ball or pitch touches an illegal glove or mitt. Ball or pitch touched by detached player equipment, which is thrown, tossed, kicked, or held by a fielder. Again, live thrown ball. First throw by an infielder and ball goes out of play or lodged under a fence. 2 from the time of the pitch. Any subsequent play by an infielder, or for any throw by an outfielder and goes out of play or lodges in or under a fence is on the throw. Intentional catch and carry, runners on only, get 2 pitches, the time of the pitch, 2 bases. Okay. One situation where we get 3 bases, it's a fair batted ball contacted with detached player equipment. However, you can award 4 if you believe it would have been a home run. 4 bases for a fair batted ball over a fence in flight. Again, that's just your normal home run. Fair batted ball hits a foul pole above the fence in flight, and a fair batted ball prevented from going over the fence because it's touched by a spectator. Again, we don't usually run into that, but you could see a question. I haven't heard of one, but you could see it. It's been on there in the past. Again, fair batted ball over fence in flight. That is a rule. That is a book rule. We are not allowed to say, well, if it goes over on this side of the fence, over here in right field, because it's only 230 feet, it's 2 bases. No. It says fair batted ball over fence in flight is a home run. End of story. Okay. Umpire judgment, spectator interference, runner's obstruction. Okay. Minimum of 1 base, and defensive malicious conduct. Highly, highly suggest learning this table. Okay. All right, touching, occupying, and returning to a base, right? So all runners must or shall touch the bases in order: first, second, third, and then home. Cannot run the bases backwards on a hit ball on purpose, right? You can run because the ball got caught, but you cannot hit the ball and run third, second, first, home. Okay. A returning runner shall touch the bases in reverse order. So if the ball is fouled, they do not need to retouch. Any runner who misses a base while advancing may not return to touch said base after the trailing runner has scored. Okay, so let's think about that for a second. You've got 2 runners on, say second and third. Base hit to the outfield. The runner from third misses home. He has the opportunity to retouch home up until that trailing runner touches home. Once that trailing runner touches home, he can no longer go back and touch and fix his mistake. He would be out on proper appeal. Okay. Runners may tag after a ball is touched. Right? So you can't bobble the ball all the way into the infield. Somebody must have done that at some point. If a runner is on or beyond the succeeding missed base when the ball becomes dead, the runner cannot return to the base and therefore is subject to being declared out upon proper appeal. What does that mean? So if a runner is on or beyond the succeeding missed base when the ball becomes dead, the runner cannot return to the base and therefore is subject to being declared out upon proper appeal. Anybody want to give me an example of that?
Yeah, so the runner misses second going to third. And then the thrown is and stops and goes back to touch second, but the ball's thrown out of play. He can't return back to second. Is that correct?
Yeah.
The ball's now dead as it went out of play.
Well, the ball is dead because it went out of play.
And the runner has not yet returned to second to retag.
He can go retag second in that scenario because if you started at second base,
No, he started at first.
not the
and he missed
succeeding
second.
base.
If he started at first and he missed second, goes to
Yep.
third, and now is retreating back to second when the ball is thrown out.
Yep. He's lost his chance to retouch first, and he is awarded home in that situation, right?
Correct, but on appeal, he'll be called out for missing the base.
Correct. Now he can physically go try to touch first, but we have to ignore it.
Yeah,
You're gonna have an argument.
well, that's fine too.
Which is fine, right? You're gonna have an argument.
I
But-
get lots of arguments.
Okay. Any questions on that, guys? All right. Runners above that missed bases are liable to be put out upon proper appeal. What I mean by that, because that's my paraphrase, is runners that are awarded bases, if they miss those bases. So let's say runner on first, pitcher clearly steps off. He's now a fielder, throws the ball out of play, and that runner decides, I'm not going to touch second and third. He's just going to walk right to third. I'm not going to make him go touch second. So if they put the ball in play and they appeal, he missed second, he's out. He still has to touch the bases in order. Okay, appeal procedures. So this is different than every other book. High school is very unique. Okay. There are different types of appeals that we can have. So we have a missing a base appeal. We have a leaving a base too soon appeal in the event of a caught fly ball. Okay. One type of appeal that we can have on those is a live ball appeal. What's a live ball appeal?
This meeting is being recorded.
Live ball appeal is exactly what it sounds like. The ball is live. Appeals may be made by a fielder with a ball touching a runner with the ball or the base they are appealing. Okay, so in that situation, that's I caught the ball in left field, and the guy on second base forgot how many outs there were, and is rounding third, and they just throw to second. It's a clear appeal, right? That's a live ball appeal. What other kind of appeals can we have live ball? They can just tag the runner, right? He's standing on third. I think he left early. We're going to take it, and we're just going to tag the runner. Perfectly legal. Okay. The other type of appeal that you can do, and I like better personally because a lot less shit can go down, is a dead ball appeal. Right? This is the difference to other leagues. Okay? I believe high school might be the only one with a dead ball appeal. On a dead ball appeal, once all runners have completed their advancement and time has been called, a coach or defensive player, with or without the ball, may make a verbal appeal on a runner missing a base or leaving too early. They do not need the ball. They do not have to step on the rubber and step off. They do not have to do anything. All they have to do is say, Mr. or Mrs. Umpire, I am appealing that this runner left third too early. And you will make a ruling. Yes, he did. No, he didn't. Okay. So it can be any player or coach, right? Note that if the ball becomes dead, the runners must be given the opportunity to complete their base running responsibilities before an appeal is made. So, use the example that I had before. Runner on first, pitcher clearly steps off, throws the ball away, it goes out of play. We're going to award him third. On his trot around second, he misses second. They don't get to appeal immediately. They have to wait until he gets to third. When he gets to third, he has completed his base running responsibilities, and then they can dead ball appeal. Okay. I prefer dead ball appeal because otherwise they're going to try to get on the rubber. Then the coach is going to be telling him what to do, and they're going to try to get him to step off, and then he's going to balk. And then when he balks, there's a play. And if there's a play, then we can't have an appeal. Right? Is that ball? I'm sorry, a pitch. That balk is considered a pitch. Okay, you can't, so if they balk and then still want to appeal, they've lost their ability to appeal. It's over.
What if the offense initiates something to cause the balk?
Was it the batter?
No, let's say it was a runner.
As long as he does it legally, it's a balk, it's a balk.
I don't know about that.
The offense can legally initiate any balk they want unless it's the batter. Right? There's nothing in the book that says they can't.
Huh.
Any questions about appeals? Okay, moving on. Appeal procedures. May not return. Okay. A runner may not return to touch a missed base or one left too soon if the runner has reached a base beyond the missed base and the ball becomes dead. We talked about it. If the runner leaves the field of play, they may not return. So if they miss home, they walk into the dugout, somebody tells them they missed home, they're not allowed to come back out of the dugout and touch home again. The following runner is scored. We talked about that one too. Okay. Advancing. Runners may advance during a live ball appeal play. If a timeout is granted for appeal, the umpire shall grant it, and runners may not advance until the ball is live again. It's part of the reason why I like the dead ball appeal, especially if I know they left early. Man, I want that out, so I might kill it a little bit quicker. Wait, time. What did you want? Oh, I want to appeal that. Okay, great. Instead of having some clusterfuck. Excuse me. Right? All right. Let's talk about more than one appeal. More than one appeal is allowed. They can appeal every base if they so choose. Okay. Let them get carried away with it, but they can make more than one appeal. And the reason why they can make more than one appeal is because you can have a fourth out play. I know this is a test question, by the way. Base is loaded. 2 outs. Ball's hit to the right center field gap. R3 scores. R2 scores. R1 rounds third and gets thrown out at home plate. Batter runner misses first base, and at the end of this play is now standing at third. The defense does not leave the infield and appeals that the runner missed first. How many runs score?
0 runs scored.
0 runs scored. Exactly. Right? The third out is a force out. You cannot have any runs score after having the third out or fourth out in this situation be a force out. Okay?
By the way, gentlemen, that's a test question. I had it on my test.
That's when I recited it. All right. Appeal procedures, awards. An appeal must be honored even if the missed base was before or after an award, unless it was subsequently corrected. An appeal must be honored even if the base miss was before or after an award, unless it was subsequently corrected. So let's use this as an example. Runner on first base. Ball hit to deep left center field. He was stealing on the pitch. He misses second and is on his way to third. The ball is caught. They're trying to pick him off at first. He also misses second on the way back to first. The ball is then thrown out of play, and now he gets awarded third. On his way to third, he touches second. That final touch of second corrects all of his past infractions. Okay, so I believe the concept is called last time by. Anybody who's been to a pro school, correct me if I'm wrong in that terminology, but I believe the concept is called last time by. On his last time by, if he was correct, then it corrects all prior infractions.
Yep.
Tag-ups. If a runner leaves too early on a caught fly ball and returns in an attempt to retag, this is considered a timing play and not a force out.
Time play.
Considered a time play. Well, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to talk about the next bullet first. If the appeal is the third out, all previous and trailing runners that score would stand. For you new guys, do you understand what a time play is? If you don't, please ask. And don't necessarily expect you would know it. So please ask if you're not sure what a time play is. Okay. Veterans, are there any questions about this? All right. And then the fourth out appeal is 826I. An appeal may be made after the third out as long as it is made properly. End of game procedures for appeals. Any appeal that could be after the end of the game must be made prior to the umpires leaving the field. Let me tell you about an appeal at the end of the game. They better be damn quick because I ain't sticking around. Right? They better be telling me, tag up a third, let's say bottom of the seventh, tie ball game, 1 out, tag up a third, and they throw the ball home, and he's safe at the plate. They better be popping up immediately telling me he left third right away. If they're not, I'm out of there. Right? We don't need to stick around. But if they pop up and say, no, he left third early, grant that appeal. Yeah, you're stuck there for another inning. They can't do anything about it. I'm sorry. But grant that appeal if they appeal that immediately. That is also why we don't stick around. Because if we stick around, we're giving them a chance to find that appeal. Maybe somebody in the stands decided to start screaming that he left early, right? So keep that in mind. Let's get out of there. More appeal procedures. Third out base running infractions. Again, like I said before, if the third out appeal is a force out, no runs may score after a successful appeal. And look, I said the concept that's in here last time by, right? Again, runner correctly touches the base on a last time by, subsequently corrects any previous mistouch to the base. Multiple runners on one base. This is always fun. I'm actually going to find a video here while I talk about this for a moment. Multiple runners on a base. If two runners are on base and the defense tags both, the trailing runner is out unless the preceding runner was forced to go to the next base. Then the preceding runner would be out. Does that make sense? Okay. Two runners on a base, the trail runner's out unless the preceding runner was forced to the next base. Right, I'm actually going to find a video, and there we go. So let's see. I want to. I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen for a moment because I want to, and then reshare because I want you to hear my audio. I need to reshare this to do that. Share sound. Okay. All right, so here is an example.
To handle our rundowns. And we don't talk about them a lot, and eventually we'll get to it, but I want to talk about the aftermath of a rundown in this particular play in a spring training game in Arizona. So what we have here are runners on first and second. Nothing really matters besides that. And we have a runner picked off at second base, and what results are two runners ending up at second. So we need to know the rules. So in this case, who legally owns the base? Now remember, this ball was not put in play. It is first and second, and it's a pickoff. So R2, if they were both on the base at the same time, would be safe, and R1, if tagged while both are on the base at the same time, would be out. It's very important as an umpire that we say very specifically, I'm going to just make up numbers here. 31, you're safe. 22, you're out. You want to communicate with these players because they don't know the rules, especially when two players end up on a base. So what happens here is we have the runner tagged from second, Mabin, tagged while he's on the base, so he's safe. And then the other runner, the R1, is tagged Marisnik while Mabin is off the base, so theoretically he would be safe. It's very important to try to take a step back from these plays and break them down in your mind as they happen. These are not ones where we want to delay our calls and wait 3 or 4 seconds. This is one where as soon as Mabin is tagged, we want to say, Mabin, you're safe. If you know the names, even better. You don't want to coach. You don't want to say, Mabin, stay where you are. You want to tell them by using rulebook terminology and informing them as simply as you can. So in this case, Mabin, you're safe. Marisnik, you're safe. Now what happens? Well, if we're on autopilot, we're probably doing the same thing. You know, it's a little tricky in the moment. Was he off the base by a foot? Was he on the base? But if we're too close to this play, we can't get a great look at it. So let's just pretend for a second that this play continued. What would happen is, if he runs to third base and he stays there, we're going to let him have third base. If he runs to the dugout or runs in a direction that he's no longer considered running the bases, I think we're going to get him for abandonment. And we've talked about abandonment a lot. If the runner that was on second thinks he's out and he's been ruled safe and then runs across the pitcher's mound and then runs to third base, we're not letting him do that. I mean, you know, there is if he takes a couple of steps, we want to make sure.
All right, hold on. This rule is different in the MLB and high school. In high school, he's not out until he makes it to the dugout. So he can walk all the way across this foul line until he's in dead ball territory. He still has the right to go to third. Okay, this is the MLB rule.
Sure that he's abandoning his effort to run the bases. If he's going in a direction, if the dugout's at third base and he's going in that direction, how do I know if he's running how do I know he's not trying to trick the defense? Obviously, he's probably not. He thinks he's out. But let's wait to see how the play develops before we make a ruling on that. What Mabin does will tell us what to do. But want to focus again on what happened on this play if both runners end up at the base at the same time. In this situation, R2 would be safe, R1 would be out. But what happens if this was a ground ball with first and second, and for some reason R2 was to go back to first base, or R2 was to go back to second? Well, in that case, R1 would be safe because he is legally entitled to the base. The batter runner puts a ground ball into play. Maybe it's booted by the third baseman. R2 doesn't know there's a runner on first, and R2 goes back. And now R1 ends up on second base. It's hard for me to say. And R2 also ends up on second base. Well, in this scenario, as if things couldn't get more complicated, we have R2 out and R1 safe. Why are these two plays different, and why are they important? Well, they're important because we have to know our pre-pitch reads. We have to know, okay, we've got first and second, this is what happens. We have second, this is what happens. What happens if the ball hits here? Understanding our pre-pitch reads are what makes us better umpires. If we know what could happen, then we're going to be able to handle it when it does. You know who else is great at handling things when they happen? Out West officials. I mean, it's the perfect set.
All right. Any questions on that, guys? Again, I know I talked about multiple sports a few times. Right? Any questions about multiple runners on a base in that type of scenario? Right? So we got to be quick, but we got to kind of see everything, right? Any questions, guys? That is a no. All right. Let's move on.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
I just want the statement you made about we won't get them for abandonment if they go across the pitcher mound then head to third. You right on that occasion, but we will get them for avoiding a tag.
If there's a tag.
Yeah, we're gonna get them one way or another. We're gonna get them.
Yeah. If there's a tag, though, if there's no play made on him, nobody even tries to tag him. He runs to the pitcher's mound and into third base. We don't have anything. All right. So the other take. Go ahead, Rob.
So you're showing that example, and then you're saying if they go to the pitcher's mound and in the third, we're not going to use that as abandonment in high school baseball?
In high school baseball, it is not abandonment until they are in the dugout or out of play territory. That is.
I get that, and because I get it, but get ready to get.
Oh no, I agree with you.
I mean, you talk about grabbing a stick. Like we're showing that example, and then we're not going to do that. Like,
well, I'm showing you this example. They're breaking down MLB. MLB is a little different rule set, right? But in
Trying to trick the
this is not abandonment in high school. This is not abandonment in high school.
wow.
It's just not, right? There's the only time you're going to get an out in this situation, right, is under the base runner. The batter is out when base runner is out when they enter dead ball territory. There's nothing else in there that says if they walk too far away from the base, or if they, they abandon the base, right? They have to enter dead ball territory.
But that could be before you get to the dugout. So I would think is once you cross the foul line, you call him out. You don't have to wait till he gets to the dugout.
No, you do.
Well, dead ball territory encompasses more than the dugout, doesn't it?
Well, dead ball territory.
No, you can get him for not going to his prospective base. So once he crosses the foul line, which is considered a dead ball area, he will be called out.
I don't think so. No.
No, he can go all the way up until he steps in dead ball territory.
He will be called out by Tyrone Walker.
Chris Candler too.
I'm telling you, the other coach has an argument, and he'd be right.
Oh well.
Right. Otherwise, I'm willing to be proven wrong. I'll tell you the rule number to look through. Right. 842. Any runner is out when. If you can find in there, that tells me that the runner is out when he abandons his base, and it doesn't say by entering dead ball territory, I will give you $20 or a 6-pack, whatever you'd like.
I'll drink to that.
Okay. All right. Base running awards table, right? So this is another table that I highly suggest we learn. Well, actually, this is duplicated. We already talked about this one. Sorry. All right. Illegal use of detached equipment. Illegal use of detached equipment does not make the ball immediately dead. If each runner advances to or beyond the base to which the runner would reach as a result of the award, the infraction is ignored. Runners advancing beyond the awarded bases advance at their own risk. Runners receive 2 bases from the time of the infraction. Okay. Illegal use of detached equipment. This is a good one. So, again, in high school, remember what I just said. Detached equipment is 2 bases. Keep that in mind when we're watching this, because they're officiating here in MLB rules, so there's a little bit of a difference.
Here is Asdrubal Cabrera, the veteran.
GilCallSports.com. Wow, I could listen to John Miller all day, but this video isn't about John, it's about detached equipment. Second inning, 2 outs, 2 on. Here it is.
In the dirt and blocked by Casale. Wait a minute. Is he saying he took the mask off and used it to stop the ball?
That's exactly what he's saying. It's illegal. You can't do it. And they just cost him 2.
Hold on, the announcers knew something. They got something right. Sorry, that's the first. That don't happen too often.
Increments of 90 feet. Now, Casale's pleading his case right here, and it's going to get Gabe Kapler over here in this conversation.
While we wait for Kapler, it's Rule 506B3E that gives runners 1 base if a fielder uses detached equipment to deliberately touch a pitched ball. Notice D-backs manager Lovolo lurking in the background too.
Watch as the ball goes down the dirt, and he takes his mask off.
Watch his mask.
Yep, can't do that. He's absolutely guilty of it. Cannot stop the flow of the ball with your mask.
904.
Some equipment you have is illegal to go out
0850.
to the ball with. What he did right there is a violation of the rule book.
So as we continue watching the argument, which will go nowhere, we review Vasquez in Boston doing the exact same thing a few years ago, and that was called as well. I mean, it's black and white in the book. For Gooch, he calls it, and it's like, Casale, I can't help you out here. This is black and white. It's a deliberate.
So I'm gonna bounce off of a little bit from our training last weekend. Right, watch the umpire in his top right corner.
For Gooch, he calls it, and it's like, Casale, I can't help you out here. This is black and white. It's a deliberately detached equipment. If it was an accidental, let's say the catcher threw the mask off trying to get to a ball, and it.
We don't have to agree with the rule. We just have to enforce it as written, right? 2 bases on this is a little extraordinary, right? The answer it 2 bases on your test. Any questions about that?
No.
So did you say that it's ignored if a runner was advancing and would have reached the base?
Correct.
Anyway?
Yep. And clearly they're not reaching 2 bases here. Right? And even here, they're not reaching 1 base here.
So if you have a pass ball and it gets away from the catcher, I don't know, good 10 feet, and the catcher's running over, and he stops the ball with his mask, and the runner was stealing, and you can say he would have successfully stolen the base. You ignore the infraction, you give him 1 base, not 2.
No, you still have to give him 2. You still have to give him the minimum award.
So what does that mean, to ignore the infraction?
If he would have made third, if he makes third anyway, because he overthrows second and the ball ends up and he ends up at third, ignore it.
If he would have advanced 2 bases.
Correct.
Okay.
So it looks like the umpire only awarded 1 base.
Yes, this is this you're looking at is MLB.
Okay. I just want to make sure that was not the same thing.
Yeah, not the same thing. There's a lot more videos on MLB and NCAA than high school, so trying to get a little tied on good examples, good quality examples. Right. All right. The batter runner is out when the batter intentionally interferes with the catcher's ability to field the ball after a 3rd strike. So, swing and a miss, strike 3, ball bounces out in front of home plate, and he kicks the ball. An immediate dead ball, that's interference, batter's out, right? Batter's fair fly ball or line drive or fair bunt in flight is intentionally dropped by an infielder with at least first base occupied with less than 2 outs. Let's talk about intentionally dropped. Okay. Here's the note. The batter runner is not out if the infielder allows the ball to drop untouched, except in the case it's an infield fly. So, an intentionally dropped ball is a ball that is intentionally dropped. You will see it. They will put their arms out. The ball will hit their glove. They will take their glove. They will put it on the ground, and they will drop the ball on the ground. I kid you not. That is what they'll do, right? It is an immediate dead ball. That batter is out. That's an intentionally dropped ball. The runners are going to stay where they were at the time of the pitch. Okay, so if they were stealing, they just got away with one. The reason behind that and why it could be a line drive that's intentionally dropped with the runner on first, right? Because that's an easy double play. Trying to avoid putting the offense in an unfair situation, because clearly that's happened before, right? So first base, first and second, first and third, got to have at least a runner on first, right? Bases loaded. You can have an intentionally dropped ball. If it's not an infield fly, batter's automatically out and all runners stay where they were. Okay. If it is an infield fly and he doesn't touch it, the batter runner is still out. Okay. Any questions there?
Yeah.
You could have an infield fly situation in effect. Let's say bases loaded,
I have a
1 out,
question.
and let's say that there is a bunt attempt,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes up in the air. Not, obviously can't be infield fly because it's a bunt. Pitcher comes up, and he intentionally drops the ball in order to get the easy double play.
Intentional drop ball. The batter runner is out. All runners stay at their respective bases. Paul, did I see you had a question?
I think that just about answered it.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. The batter runner is out if the batter intentionally contacts the ball with a bat a second time, right? Key word here, intentionally, right? If he swings and on the backswing he hits the ball again, the batter runner is not out, okay? If he intentionally tries to hit it twice, he's out. For a foul ball, the ball must have had a chance to become fair. If the bat accidentally comes in contact with the ball a second time when the batter's in the box, it's a foul ball. Okay? Clearly, that ball had to have been hit. The batter runner runs outside of a 3-foot running lane while the ball is being fielded or thrown to first base. This infraction is ignored if it is to avoid a fielder who is attempting to field a batted ball or if it does not interfere with the fielder or a throw. So, that is the key right there. The fielder or the throw. I don't know if it affected the throw if the catcher airmails it. However, take the out. Give the catcher or pitcher or thrower the benefit of the doubt in that situation because he didn't want to hurt another 16, 17-year-old kid. And he tried to finesse it over and it ends up in short right field. Okay. The batter runner is considered out of the running lane if either foot is completely outside of the line. So let's look at some examples and then we'll kind of open it up for some questions. So let's talk about this one. This is this is a good one.
Hey everyone, Gil at CloseCallSports.com. It's a little dribbler up along first base we got asked, so it has to be, this only could be, a runner's lane interference play with this type of a setup. So let's play it through, see that the pitcher throws the ball into right field, but is that legal or not? Did the runner do anything wrong? If we replay it, we re-rack it, we see that the runner, well, doesn't appear to be in the lane at that point. But what does the rule actually say? At what point do you have to be in the lane? Glad you asked. Official Baseball Rule 509A11. A batter is out for interference when, in running the last half of the distance from home base to first base while the ball is being fielded to first base, he runs outside to the right of the 3-foot lane or inside to the left of the foul line, and in the umpire's judgment in doing so, interferes with the fielder taking the throw at first base, in which case the ball is dead. The rule is very strict. There are only two ways the runner is not out for RLI. The first is if the runner exits the lane at the very end for the sole purpose of touching first base. You have one stride, maybe two strides to do that at the very end. Or if the throw could not have reasonably retired the runner. Let's go through both of those possible exemptions, starting with the quality of the throw. Reasonably retire the runner doesn't mean did the runner or the ball get even with first base first. Because remember, the fielder has the opportunity to stretch in front of first base, reach back, and try to catch the ball. So in my estimation, this is a reasonable throw. The runner could have been retired if the runner wasn't illegal. Second, did the runner...
No, high school does not need a reasonable throw. However, you do have to judge, would the throw have beaten him, right? Because clearly if he's 3 steps past the bag, right, clearly we're not getting RLI on that, right? But if it's close, we're going to give the defense the benefit of the doubt. Rolo, correct me if I'm wrong. You've told me for 3 years now that this play is the most missed play in high school sports.
Yeah, that's what I've been told and by major league umpires at clinics I've been to.
Yeah.
Runner exit the lane at the end. In order to have exit privileges, you have had to have entered the lane and been compliant.
I'm gonna kind of what he just said here is the key, right? So I want to go back and listen to that last sentence about
runner wasn't illegal. Second, did the runner exit the lane at the end? In order to have exit privileges, you have had to have entered the lane and been compliant up until that end, which is usually the dirt cutout, not always, depends on your field. When the runner gets to the lane, it does not appear that the runner's compliant. 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 strides not within the runner's lane, to the left of the line. That's illegal. That's runner's lane interference. So this is RLI. Finally, let's look at the umpires. Tony Randazzo is your plate umpire. He immediately moves toward the left, toward the foul line, and on this other camera angle, we see that the plate umpire, Randazzo, is straddling the line. That's a great angle to get it on, and now we shift our attention to the first base umpire, Todd Tishner, who would ordinarily have safe out if this was a ball that the first baseman caught, but it wasn't. About to call the runner safe, but then realizes, nope, the plate umpire has it. So like the umpire in yesteryear, points to the plate umpire, except this is the one time you're actually allowed to point at your partner. When your partner has a big call to make, you point at the partner so people pay attention to them because they're making the call. So Tishner calls time and then goes to the runner to try to explain what happened. The runner looks dumbfounded, but not the umpire. Tish knows exactly what's up. For more plays like this, visit us online at closecallsports.com. We'll see you on the site.
All right, let's watch one more before we go into any questions, okay?
Hey everybody, T-Mac here for another T-Mac Teachable Moment. This game comes to us from Taiwan, where it's the Premier 12 event. Let's take a look at the play, then we'll break it down.
Feast and famine evening thus far. A 2-run homer, a strikeout, now a bunt. And he gets the job done, and then some. That ball's going to trickle out into right field. A run comes in to score. Maybe 2, the throw to the plate, the slide, and 2 runs come in on the bunt. 4-1 Chinese Taipei.
Okay, a lot of things going on this play, but the first one that everybody has noticed, this video has made the rounds already, is that we have a runner in the runner's lane running appropriately. So we take a look at where the runner is. Now, granted, this is a right-handed batter, so he's got to get into the runner's lane. He does. And he even goes a little more to the right of the runner's lane to make sure that he's not interfering with the throw. This is just textbook here if you're going to show your team how to go in the runner's lane. Now, a lot goes on after this. The throw hits the runner in the back. Very reminiscent of what happened in the World Series. The game officials, and I apologize if I pronounce your name wrong, the home plate umpire is Shikita Naoto. Ray Gregson is at first base. Hyung Park is at second. And Alan Izaguirre is at third base. This is an international tournament, as we mentioned, in Taiwan. And good job by the home plate umpire keeping it under 3 hours. It's 2:58 game time. So there's a lot going on that happens after this play. Not just take a look at the runner's lane potential violation, but let's also look at what happens with the rest of this play. So what should our home plate umpire be doing? Play is obviously a little bit tricky. Home plate umpire, if he can, should be on the line to make sure that the runner is legal. And if that runner is legal and the ball hits him, we need a good, strong, that's nothing mechanic. Even though we've got the potential of, runners coming around to score, we need a good that's nothing. It's very, very strong, maybe even vocalizing it multiple times. Then we have runners on the merry-go-round, and we end up with a play at the plate. We'll get to the play at the plate in a minute. But let's talk about where our base umpire should be in a four-man situation here. It's Puerto Rico is the team. And by the way, that's Fernando Cruz, the pitcher who delayed. That's the same Fernando Cruz that once charged his opponent's dugout while he was playing with the New Jersey Jackals. He charged the dugout of the Rockland Boulders, and not a good sign here. That was poor judgment. This is more poor judgment because he delays throwing to third base and then just kind of lobs it to first. And then the merry-go-round happens. So, on the merry-go-round, where should our second base umpire be? Our second base umpire is watching the play at first base. He's engaged with the play, and now we have runners going all over the place. Our first base umpire is in a great spot. Our second base umpire is just in the middle of the infield. Probably hasn't worked a lot of four-man. That's the spot where now you want to get to behind second base. You want to be able to see the touch and then anticipate where your next play could be coming from. If that guy maybe stumbles over second, you want to be behind to get that keyhole view if your assigner allows it. And the third base umpire just kind of hanging out, waiting for a potential play. Really not a whole heck of a lot going on that you're looking for there, but to see touches. And we get a play at the plate, and we get not even no tag. There's no attempted tag, and our home plate umpire is selling this call like it's the seventh game of the World Series. There's no baseball. We haven't talked a lot lately about levels of mechanics. This is one where we can give maybe a little point to the plate, a simple, nonchalant, safe call. We don't need to safe this like this was the closest play that we've ever seen, and we're definitely going to replay, especially with the ball being on the ground. What happens on that play is we're probably excited. There's a lot of fans. The crowd's going nuts. But also, our timing's too quick. And our timing's too quick because the catcher never had possession of the ball. So a little takeaway from that. But, so that is how you run to first base. And we can look at this from a four-man, a two-man perspective, a three-man. The home plate umpire is always going to have that runner's lane.
That play at the plate, that guy's out of position, fast, all that bullshit.
Yep, yeah.
Primarily, if the first base umpire can get it, great, but it's a really, really hard call, especially when you're listening for two sounds, right? So our home, a lot of fans, the crowd's going nuts, but
so where he should have been on this play, right? Let's go back just a hair.
We're probably excited. There's a lot of fans, the crowd's going nuts.
Where he should have been on this play is the wedge, right? So we're getting a little off, but I'm going to draw a picture because you all loved my picture last week.
He should be where that guy is telling him to slide or stand.
Almost, right? So if where we should be is on the catcher's back left hip, right? So when the ball comes in, we should have been about third base line extended, right? Watching this catcher, reading this catcher. When he stops and turns, your keyhole or your wedge is right here. This is where you want your head, somewhere in here, right? So you should be standing about here, right? Your head here, right? That's your keyhole. That's what you want to see here, right? Right in that wedge. It's okay to be moving slightly, potentially if it's a big swipe tag, but you do not want to be here. You'll never see the tag. Okay. Let's turn off my annotation. And
Cool.
Anyway, so questions about runner's lane interference, and I will go back to the picture that T-Mac drew here. Right. Any questions as to
make sure that he's not interfering with the throw? Video has made the rounds already. Is that we have a runner?
Any questions as to why this runner was not out?
So Steve, I'll share an experience I had last year, and it was at Clay and Bowles was there, and I grabbed a running lane interference with Bowles on the offense.
Oh,
And
they had a conniption. He could have been on the pitcher's mound and hit with the ball, and they still would have had a conniption.
But it was that situation where, runner, ball, gloves, sort of all made contact. And I called him out because I like to describe it as you start wrong, you end wrong. And so Boswell came out and he said, that last step, he's got to be in fair territory to get to the bag because the bag's in fair. I said, yeah, I know that, but he started off wrong. He ends wrong. He doesn't have the benefit of the protection because he was never in the lane.
Absolutely. Yep. You start wrong, you end wrong, you're out. You start right, you end right, you're fine. Right? It's usually what happens before. And again, like Gil said, you do not get exit protection if you were not in. That's lawyer talk. Some lawyer came up with that, right, Bill?
There you go.
Good job, Bill.
Steve, if I could clarify something. The catcher has the ball but does not throw because he's afraid of beaning some kid. You can still call running lane interference even though he does not throw the ball. Is that correct?
You can in high school, but if he double clutches, I'll get it. Right? If he goes and then he stops and moves his feet and throws again, I'll get that. If he doesn't throw,
I understand.
no.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
That's a judgment call, right?
Yeah.
If you called it and you told me that I know this catcher and this catcher always throws it, I'd believe you, and I'd stand behind you. Man, I wanted to, if he double clutches though, get the out, okay? Because you can in high school.
Right. But if he just stands up and watches the kid, then he's safe or doesn't make an. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
No.
All right, moving on. We can watch more videos if you guys want. Yeah. Batter runner is out when any runner or retired runner interferes in a way which obviously hinders an obvious double play. Right? So, could have a ball towards the middle of the field and hit hard and interferes with the second baseman, and clearly they were going to get a double play. You can get two there, right? But let's make sure it's obvious. Batter runner is also out when he hits an infield fly. When an infield fly is rule is in effect. Enters the game as an illegal substitute and is discovered. Okay. The runner is out when they run more than 3 feet away from a direct line between bases to avoid being tagged or to hinder a fielder while the runner is advancing or returning to a base.
Don't go no further. Hold on. So going back to your abandonment, if the fielder throws the ball to the pitcher right there and the runner keeps going, are you going to get him for out of the baseline?
Did the pitcher attempt to make a play?
I don't know. Let's say he caught it and put his glove in the air. Are you going to consider that a tag, or are you going to let him go all the way and then come back and say they're going to say, "Well, you tried to make a play." I get what you're saying. I'm
Yeah,
trying
but what do
to
we need? What
the
do we
high
need
school
for a
side of
play? What's the definition of a play?
Hey, here's your thing, right? You can't tag a person that's running to the pitcher's mound, right? You can't tag them, right? So a straight line, and this is for me, from second to third, is you're heading that way. You can't head toward the pitcher mound because you think you are out and decide to double back over to third base. Because that's not a straight line going from base to base.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm just going by the video and the example that Steve showed that's technically not abandonment or anywhere. They can go all the way to the dugout if they want.
And the reason why is in the same rule, right? So I'm going to read the first part first, and I'll read the second part. So the first part is not an infraction if the runner is avoiding a fielder making a play on a batted ball, and the runner's baseline is established when a play is being made on a runner and is a straight line between that point and to where the runner is moving. Okay, so I understand what you're saying about wanting to call him out if he's walking past the pitcher's mound.
What about eight? Wait a minute. What about 8-4-2, letter P as in Paul, in the note? Any runner after reaching first base who leaves the baseline heading for the dugout or a defensive position, believing that there is no further play, shall be declared out if, in the umpire judgment, the act of the runner is to be considered abandoning an effort to run the bases.
That is correct. I was going there next. Thank you very much.
I beat you. He owes me $20.
But hold on. That's only first base.
No.
No, that's not only first base.
First base. Oh, okay, well, P says at least touching first base. The letter P says at least touching first base, and then the note, I don't know. We splitting hairs here?
No, we're not splitting hairs. You're making sense.
I owe you a beer.
Yes, you do.
I do. Now let's take it where I went wrong. The batter runner is not out on a drop third strike until they make it to the dugout.
Until you make it to the dugout. You're correct.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm living with you on that one. I'm living with you. Steve, you're doing an awesome job, brother. Awesome. But it's just some plays, bro, we got to get that out. We got to get it.
I want to be on Ty's crew.
Can Ty be on the dish? I don't want a small strike zone.
Steve want me on his crew too.
Hell, we all do.
All right, I actually want to show you guys a video of out of baseline. There's going to be a couple videos I want to show you. So here's the first one.
On Close Call Sports.
Ends an ejection.
And now Jim Hickey's been ejected.
Washington's pitching coach is ejected after arguing 2 Scherzer violations
So this
on
is
Weems. The first was a
specifically
warning, the
for
second
out
was
of
an
the
automatic
base
ball.
path.
And that was warned
I want to point out
2 pitches prior. I don't want to say Brandon Miller is doing something right. He's doing his job.
Miller did the job last night. Today it's Derek Thomas behind the plate. We go to the top of the 6th inning with Keibert Ruiz on first base.
Dominic Smith hits this fair into the corner and trouble. They're going to send K-Barrett all the way from first, and he's safe. They're going to call him out. No way. For going out of the baseline? Are we there? Seriously?
As Dave Martinez comes out to argue and Vargas gets Ruiz out of there. Great play by Vargas to do that, by the way. Let's take a look.
Oh, this is awful. Derek Thomas, let's figure this thing out, please.
That's
Back to announcers not going
Let's look at the play again.
Caballero's throw to the plate is not in time. He's out. He is out. He is out at home plate.
All right, everyone follow along. It was an out of the base path call. Let's give Seattle a chance to talk about the rule first.
7.0881. Yeah, we're going deep. A runner is out when he essentially runs more than 3 feet away. That's the key, 3 feet away from a direct line between bases to avoid being tagged, unless his action is to avoid interference.
I appreciate every attempt to educate the viewer about the rules. This is a really good attempt, but unfortunately that's not the rule. In 2014, MLB reorganized its rule book, so Seattle is referencing the old book. We need the new book, the now book. 509B1 is the new rule that states that any runner is out when they run more than 3 feet away from their base path to avoid being tagged unless avoiding interference. But even more so, Seattle said this.
The key, 3 feet away from a direct line between bases to avoid being tagged.
So compare that to 509, which states 3 feet away from their base path. The difference here is base line, which is a direct line between bases, to base path, which is established when the tag attempt occurs is a straight line from the runner to the base they are attempting to reach safely. Let's graphically represent this.
Obviously the throw beat him.
If Davey Martinez was a runner trying to reach home plate, the base line is just the foul line. It's a straight line between third and home. But as a runner, the base path is between Davey and the plate. So it's a little bit to the right in foul territory.
Does that concept make sense to everybody? Right?
Yeah.
This is very important because the coach is going to come out and say, well, he was out of the baseline. And I'm tempted to say, well, yeah, he was, but that's not his base path. But I'm not. Don't be smart ass.
Of the baseline. That's important.
Oh, look at me. I can throw you out. Davey Martinez just got tossed, and he's getting his money's worth now.
Knowing what we know about the base path, let's try to figure out if the runner goes out of it.
Right away, you can see Derek Thomas, his mask in hand, saying, listen, he's outside the baseline.
Remember, it's a base path, not a baseline, but that's okay. It's tough to find a great angle on this, but I think this one's the best. I've frozen it as the catcher receives the throw. This is the earliest point at which we may begin calculating a base path. Remember, the base path is established when the tag attempt occurs, i.e., when it first begins. So the catcher has to have number one possession of the ball, and they have to make their first little movement to try to make the tag. This catcher goes in pretty much one motion, so right there we pause it again. That is where we begin calculating our base path. And all you do is draw a line straight from the runner to the base. At this point, we're going to go to the overhead angle. That is our base path. Let's see where the runner goes.
But right away, you can see.
At this point, it's simply about whether the runner is more than 3 feet away from that base path, the blue line, or not. So is that yellow line more than 3 feet or not? It could be here, it could be here, or here. This is the quote-unquote simple explanation. We'll get to a more complex one if you still want to watch it.
This is probably the best angle.
Yeah.
My opinion, right? This is the angle the umpire has. So if he started here and he determined from here to here is a straight line, and this is more than 3 feet from that line, and he's out. Again, this is a judgment call. This one is really close, right? I think this one could have gone either way.
Is that any part of his body that's within 3 feet or his feet?
No.
Well, because here, he's sort of like at an angle. His feet.
Put it this way, if I have any question, if I'm asking myself, well, is it his feet or his belt or his shoulders? He's not out of the baseline.
Well, here, his feet is clearly more than 3 feet out, but like his head, upper body, probably not.
Just pick whatever spot you pick to start with, pick that spot.
Man, you're no help.
Hey, Bill,
what I'm saying is, if it's that close, I call him out.
Keep going with the video. She says it.
Yeah, can you get tossed by 2 umpires in the same game?
Yeah, you can get your money's worth for both.
I do want to show one more angle, not annotating at all, just so you can see that the runner does indeed veer to his right.
No, you're supposed to run into the catcher's mitt. That's what you're supposed to do.
From this angle, we can't really draw any lines, but we can see that Ruiz is modifying his trajectory toward home plate. So he is veering to the right of his base path. The only question is that more than 3 feet or not?
I mean, he's within one dive of reaching home plate there, which he did.
I like this angle. I didn't see this one before. We generally go center of gravity for these, so line between
There's
the player
your answer,
and
Bill. Center of gravity.
Plate. It's close, but I think what really hurt Ruiz is his cleat got caught in the dirt, and that caused him to fall farther away from the plate than he intended to be, and that cleat getting caught might have indeed caused him to go more than 3 feet out of his base path.
Derek Thomas.
Fortunately, we have another part of the rulebook that can help us with this. Appendix 2 of the rulebook has a diagram called Layout at Home Base. I hope you're ready for some math. The point of the plate to the runner's position behind the back edge of the right-handed batter's box is what we're after. Since we know the runner's base path, the pink line is fully above the horizontal line intersecting point of plate represented in green. We know that we are essentially looking for no less than the distance between the point of plate to the back edge of the horizontal edge of the batter's box. Thanks to our prior video on the Marcell Osuna backswing hitting catcher Will Smith, we know this distance is 2 feet 3 1/2 inches. The question thus is how far exactly behind the batter's box line is Ruiz, and how far on top or above the point of plate intersection is the base path in pink. If that's more than 8 1/2 inches, you are out of the base path.
Zero hesitation. See David Martinez getting his money's worth.
I'm going to show one more.
I knew I should have paid attention in algebra.
And I met him last week.
That
down in
was
Fort Myers.
geometry.
Who'd you meet last week?
Oh, wow.
Derek Thomas, yeah, super nice guy. He seems like he really knows his shit. He got called up last season.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's in the he definitely knows his shit.
He's still a fill-in. He's not a permanent. He hasn't been hired yet.
All right, one more. This is Adam. I want to butcher his name. Sorry, Hamari.
Oh, Aledmys Diaz has been called out. Oh boy, here we go.
We have to go back to April to see Adam Hammery ejecting Mark Kotsay for a pitch clock violation. So what will happen this time?
Sox in Oakland against the Athletics at the Coliseum.
Tony Kemp triples while double in an error to third base in the first inning, and he's about to try to score.
He's in.
Going back to this play real quick, because we talked about this in last week's training session 2 weeks ago. Right?
In the first inning,
watch where he is
he's
here.
about to try to.
Right, I just drew that picture at home plate. That wedge concept works at every single base. Now, clearly on a force play, you don't need this. This is a tag play. But look at his eyes. He's between the fielder and the runner, and he can clearly see that tag. It's a better angle than even this camera, right? That's the wedge. The wedge is stuck between the runner and the fielder. Okay.
Score.
He's in there. Away from Alfaro. Here comes Kemp. He tries to elude Alfaro. Jumping tag. He missed. Oh, he got him. He called him out of the baseline. Out of the baseline.
As Kotsay comes out to argue the 3-foot issue, let's take a look at the rule.
It's Rule 5.09B.
Nicely done, Boston. Any runner is out when they run more than 3 feet away from their base path to avoid being tagged. A base path is established when the tag attempt occurs and is a straight line from the runner to the base they are attempting to achieve safely.
You've got 3 feet from the time the attempt of the tag is started. So from the time that Alfaro has the ball and starts his pursuit towards Tony Kemp, you've got 3 feet.
I want to compliment both broadcasts for doing quite well in citing this rule.
Tony Kemp is out of the baseline, and they're going to talk about it.
Just one tiny comment. It's a base path, not a baseline, but the gist of what they're saying is quite nice. The tag at Close Call Sports with a quick when the fielder gains possession and makes their first move toward the runner. The catcher does that as the runner is barely in foul territory, just a matter of inches, really. So his base path is a straight line from that point to the plate, which you'll notice is marginally to the right of the actual baseline, the baseline coinciding with the foul line in this case.
And Mark Kotsay here in the first inning.
And in an empty building, you can hear pretty clearly how Mark Kotsay feels.
Right? Any questions about this drawing?
No, that's a great call, though, by the way. I'm a Red Sox fan.
Absolutely fantastic. Again, the play starts when they make an attempt. So as soon as that catcher starts to run, right?
Look and try to answer the question. Did the runner go out of his base path more than 3 feet away to avoid the tag?
Like he did. Here you go.
To figure this out, we diagram the initial base path the farthest point of deviation, and if the intersecting line between those two is more than 3 feet, that is out of the base path.
And as you can see, Mark Kontze's irate.
The usual guide is fielder reach. We're diagramming the runner's distance as center of gravity.
So what she just mentioned here is usually the accepted mechanic here is a step and a reach is about 3 feet. If the fielder cannot touch the runner within 1 step and a reach, they are generally outside of 3 feet.
Furthest point of deviation.
That is what she said. But she also drew center of gravity. I have no idea. I have no idea where, Bill.
Gravity, if you do it on feet alone, he's clearly out of the base path, and the question is whether that distance, the yellow line, is that more than 3 feet or not. If it is, the runner is out of his base path.
Mark Kontze continues what.
Any questions about running out of base path?
I have one. So in this particular scenario, if the runner had been, his base path was a foot or a step in the field rather than out of the field, he might have still been okay to do what he did.
Absolutely. So if he was here
But
instead,
his
right? Is this pink line 3 feet? Well, I don't know. You got a couple inches to play with here, right? I don't know. Potentially.
But I think a takeaway that I'm taking from this is the base path is not established until the fielder is starting the act of making a play. If you have a runner that starts to alter his base path before the fielder tries to reach out with his glove or even before he's fielded the ball, he has not established his base path yet. And so we don't even get to the 3-foot rule yet.
That's right, Bill. A base path only exists when a fielder is attempting to make a tag.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Although, let's be honest, in high school, you're not. If you grab that one where that guy was starting, you're going to be in some shit.
Yeah, in high school, we don't have the angles that they have in 4-man system, right? So can you get this one at the plate? Yeah, right. You're looking right down the line. It's the guy at second base when you're inside in B position. Who knows? I have no idea, right? That's where you have to use your judgment with, hey, was he within a step and a reach of that original spot, right? All right. Let's go back.
Steve, just real quick, that video you showed of the guy, the home plate guy on the wedge, that's a great example, guys. Not that guy, but the one with the play at the plate originally.
Yep.
Of how he got into the wedge. That's a great picture of why you should be on that side because of that swipe tag and how close you can actually get to the play of the plate if you're in that wedge right there. You can almost be you can almost be. I mean, he could, if he wanted to, he could come a step closer. Like you're not nowhere in, like that is perfect. That's perfect right there.
Yep, absolutely is. All right. Okay. All right. So next, runner is out when they do not legally slide and cause illegal contact. This is your forced play slide rule. Here's our slide for what FASA and NFHS want us to call. Okay. This is college game. It is the same rule in this particular case.
Tournament games have been decided by 3 runs or more. Wonder if we'll get a close one here as Peyton Wilson.
Gil at CloseCallSports.com. You asked about this SEC tournament game, double elimination, Alabama-Tennessee tie game, bottom of the 9th inning, bases loaded, 1 out. The game could be over now, or is it?
Keep the game tied.
And here's a ground ball up the middle, off the pitcher. Wilson tries to turn, fires late, and Tennessee wins it with a walk-off.
Oh, no way.
You're right about that. No way. The umpire has called interference on the runner sliding into second base. So not only is that runner out, the batter runner is out as well. That's an inning-ending double play. They're going to go review it because the forced play slide rule is reviewable. Okay, forced play slide rule. Tennessee fans will hate this because the rule is very strict and doesn't allow for any deviation from the strict language or interpretation of the rule. And it clearly states whether the defense could have completed the double play has no bearing on the applicability of this rule. If the runner violates, then that's it. It's a double play, forced play slide rule, double play, interference. If the runner doesn't violate, then you don't have it. It's very black and white. So here's the diagram that's relevant. The fielder is protected in all that gray space to the left of the base, to the right of the base. So we take a look here and we look to see if the runner slid in that direct line between the bases in the white area. We pause it right at the point of contact, and it sure looks like the contact occurs in the gray area, which means it's interference under the forced play slide rule. There is zero flexibility for the umpire to make this call. If it happens, it must be called. There's no judgment other than that involved. And yeah, I know that that's a narrow lane for the runner to slide into the base, but that's what NC2A College wants. If you're mad at anyone, be mad at the NC2A Rules Committee, because that's the rule that they've told their umpires to call. Combined with the sentence, whether the defense could have completed the double play has no bearing on the applicability of this rule, it's a slam dunk forced play slide rule call. And the reason it's that way is because NC2A considers it a safety and interference rule. Safety trumps everything, therefore there is zero flexibility.
In the arms, there's your call. Oh, we're there. But after review, wow. And Tony Vitello is going to come out and, wow, chat with home plate up.
I want to show the next video. This one is from Alex Scandalous over at United Umpires.
We're here today at Kane University.
This one is
three-man
the longer
camp,
one?
4th of July. Is basically within that width of the base. Obviously, it might go off either side if he's a little bit wider, but in terms of his slide, it's directly into the base. We're not sliding on any kind of angle in here or finishing anywhere to the side. Now, permissible, two things here when he does slide into the base. He can pop. So he can pop up, and as long as it's a natural popping motion, no kind of arm thrusts or anything like that, that's permissible, okay? The second thing he can do is his momentum can carry him through the base on the ground, okay? So turf field, obviously, you know, if he slides a little bit later, which is still in a legal fashion, he might wind up through the base, which is still legal.
I do suggest this video too, right? It's a longer video, but I do suggest this one. I do want to ask questions about forced play slide rule. Okay.
That seems pretty cut and dry, actually.
No, I got a question here.
Yes.
Contact during the top of the base because of a pop-up slide rule is illegal. Is that true or false?
That's correct.
No, that's a true statement. It's
Yes.
illegal.
That is illegal.
So in a test question, when it says which statement about the slide on forced play is true, contact on a top of a base because of a pop-up slide is illegal. That's a true statement.
That is
That
true.
is correct. I had it on my test and I got it correct.
So
That's your answer.
Ty, me and you. Okay, good. A is there. Okay, thank you.
All right. The runner is out when? They're running the bases in reverse. Remember, I told you if the batter can't hit the ball and run the third, second, first, they're out if they do that. Right? If they take a position behind the base to get a running start. Carl, this is legal in a softball. So
no, it is not. Wait a minute.
It's not in high school. It is in other sanctions of high
If you're touching the base, you can take a position behind the base, but you can't be off the base.
Correct. Right.
Okay, I see the difference. Thank you for pointing.
There's a
that out.
difference, right?
Yes.
Softball,
yes.
what they will do is they will start a step behind the base, but be touching the base and be
Yes.
moving. And it is a pain in the ass to see if they leave early or not on throws, right? Baseball, they cannot do that.
Interesting. I've never seen it, but good to know.
They deliberately knocked the ball from fielder's glove. Think 2003 World Series, Alex Rodriguez knocking the ball out of right? And is physically assisted by a coach. I'm not going into that. Umpire. Umpire jurisdiction begins the moment the umpires arrive at the field within the confines of the field. So the moment we step through that gate or dugout or whatever, now it is our jurisdiction. All umpire judgment calls are final. Questions about rule interpretations can and should be talked about if the coach has questions or questions the rule. Okay. Now, there are times that I will not partake in some of those conversations. So, for example, Tyrone, I'm going to always use our example from last year. I tell the coach, I have a runner's lane interference. Time, he's out. Runner's lane interference. Coach comes out. I'm happy to talk to him. He tells me, what happened? Well, I have runner's lane interference. He interfered with the throw. He wasn't in the runner's lane. No, he was in the runner's lane. All right, we're done here. The moment that goes from we're talking about runner's lane interference and a potential rule interpretation where, hey, where do you want him to run? Well, he needs to run in the runner's lane. Well, he's got to go fair territory. Yeah, but he has to be in the runner's lane until that last step, right? That's a conversation I'll have. But if he turns around and says, well, he was in the runner's lane, we're done here. This is now a judgment call. We are not discussing a rule anymore, and I'm going to walk away, and my buddy Tyrone is going to take the coach, and he's going to go holler, West Nassau, by the way. He's going to go holler somewhere else, okay? The home plate umpire may ask for help from the base umpire on a half swing. The book says may. That means you have a choice. You can or you cannot. Unless it's ruled a strike. If it's ruled a strike, it may not be appealed. My suggestion, if they ask. Even if they're B or C. It's part of my pregame. I'm going to tell you, if you're in B or C and that coach asks, I'm coming to you. And usually you guys say, well, unless I ain't calling a strike from there. That's fine. I'm just going to get him off my back. Right? Tell me no. Maybe I blinked. Maybe he completely swung around. You remember the umpires in the Mexican League? Hold on. I'm going to find this real quick. And this is why you don't fall asleep on the bases.
That's a great video.
I'm going to...
Why are you talking about the Mexicans?
I knew somebody was going to bring that up.
This one. This, right?
El martes, el día de hoy.
Swings.
Iniciando juego, martes 17 de julio.
Ball. Trigado. No, he didn't.
Eric Aguilera, los primeros.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, from my perspective, right? If you're in B or C, you can, especially if you're new, even if you're a veteran, sometimes you blink and you're like, where the hell did the ball go? Maybe you blinked a little bit too long on the swing and you missed the swing. Don't fall asleep on me. Please help me, right? That's part of why I always go. And again, I just want the coach off my back, right? So again, swing, and I don't understand how they both miss it. I honestly have absolutely no idea. In a three-man, if this happens, please, the third base umpire, get down there and tell them that swung the damn bat.
Del umpire principal, Ulises Domínguez. Vamos a verlo. Y aquí vean
So
ustedes.
There was something hot in the stands.
Probably.
You know that crew ended up getting suspended too.
All right. So
Baseball 101.
That's why I say just ask, right?
Yeah, that umpire crew also got suspended for a while.
I think they got fired. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So courtesy runners. Courtesy runner at any time the team at bat may use a courtesy runner for their pitcher and or catcher when they reach base. The individual runner may not be used for both the pitcher and the catcher. Okay, so number 3 cannot run for both the pitcher and the catcher. Courtesy runners may not be substitutes in the inning they are used. So once they enter as a courtesy runner, they may not enter as a substitute. In the half inning, right? Players who have participated in the game in any capacity other than a courtesy runner are ineligible to be a courtesy runner. They have to be what a lot of people call clean off the bench. Okay. I think that's a travel ball term, but it applies here. And then this kind of goes over, these are the points of emphasis from last year. And that is it for the slide deck. I know there's some questions. Chris, I know I got a bunch of your questions. We can certainly go over them tonight if you'd like, or we can go over them next week, right? So are there any questions, any videos anybody wants to see? Again, I love Close Call Sports. I think they're fantastic. If you want to sit here and go through Close Call Sports videos for the next 20 minutes, I've got no problem doing that with you, talking you through it. You guys tell me what you want. This is your training.
No, you driving the bus, buddy.
I'm not driving. This is your training, guys, not mine. I'm just running.
You got the eye black thing up there. What if happened if the team from, say, player A comes to the plate with like eye black in the shape of lightning bolts? What would an umpire do?
I'm doing nothing.
No. What would the rules say he should do?
The rules states that what he should do. Well, let me tell you what the answer is. The answer is that you have him remove it and give them a warning.
Oh, yeah. That's good. That's good. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's the answer.
Is that in the book now? Because it wasn't before.
No,
it's very vague
if
in
it's
the book.
offensive. If it's offensive, it has to be.
It's offensive or excessive. But what is
or intimidating one's opponent? And what they're saying is the lightning bolt is an attempt to intimidate.
Oh,
that is correct.
Scary.
Well, welcome to the new one.
What if you're in Hilliard and their team are the Flashes? Just saying, it could be a team symbol.
This is the stick. This is the shitty end. Which one would you like?
Thank you.
Can you clarify on the forced play slide rule in high school? Like if he goes through the bag, we have nothing on the guy.
Let's see. Let me find you that rule. The specific rule here, and this is going to be when a runner is out. Runner is out when does not legally slide and causes illegal contact and or illegally alters the actions of the fielder in the immediate act of making a play, or on a forced play does not slide in a direct line between the bases, or a runner may slide in a direction away from the fielder to avoid making contact. Runners are never required to slide, but if a runner elects to slide, the slide must be legal. Jumping, hurdling, and leaping are all legal attempts to avoid a fielder as long as the fielder is lying on the ground. Diving over a fielder is illegal.
So I guess going through the bag is okay then.
Going through the bag is okay.
Yeah, you can slide through the bag, Robert. Yeah, you can slide straight through.
Unless you make contact.
Unless you make contact.
Right. That's what I'm talking. I'm just trying to clarify that for others.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I want to show
But that part you read where it said is never required to slide. So he doesn't have to slide just because there's a force play. As long as he doesn't interfere, he doesn't have to slide.
In your judgment, he has to get out of the way. That means he turns left, he turns right, or he slides. Whichever the three. In your judgment, if you don't think he tried to avoid that fielder, you get both of those out.
I understand. But just because there's a force play doesn't mean he automatically has to slide or he's out.
That's correct. He does not has to slide. There's no rule says you have to slide.
Yep. True.
All right. I have a question here. When are we going to cover completing a report? We're not. You have an injection in a report, you're going to call roll up. And he will help. Him or Tyrone or
Jeff.
Jeff will help you write that report. They happen so infrequently, it's not worth it. And all your report is gonna be is what happened. Right.
Exactly what happened verbatim. If he curse you, you use those curse words. But if you really want someone to help you with writing one, call Bill. He's got it down, baby.
No. I want to go back to the forced play slide rule if I can.
Sure.
So you've got a runner that is not veering left or right. He's not sliding. So let's say he's a good 10 feet away from the bag. He's standing up, right? Coming in. And you have the shortstop makes the throw. Throw doesn't really come close to the runner, but you have said before, Steve, you're going to get that out, right?
Well, if he interferes, yeah.
Well, you have told me that you're going to assume that altered the throw somehow, some way.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because he's standing straight up, Bill. He's standing straight in the path of the throw.
Absolutely am.
What if he
I'm
doesn't?
assuming that affected his throw.
What if he doesn't make a throw and doesn't pump?
Judgment call.
It's your call, Bill. You can always say the kid didn't throw it because he didn't want to injure him. He thought he was going to hit him in the face. Get the out, Bill. Quit playing.
Have you ever made that call?
Absolutely, because on that play, somebody's coming out, Bill. Because the defensive coach, if you don't call that, is going to come out and say, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to hit him in the face with the ball?
Yeah.
And what's the offense going to do? What do you want my player to do? I don't want him to go in standing up, coach. He doesn't have to slide, but he cannot be there. Peel off, be somewhere else.
If you're arguing that, Bill, you just got to come with the argument I had him peeling off. Like, if you're not going to call it, you just got to say I had him peeling off. You don't let it go no further.
Yeah.
All right. I have an example. I know I'll keep questions open, right?
I want to go back to that dead ball appeal on a missing a base. So we are, based off what you said, on a dead ball appeal, little Johnny, the second baseman from Baker County, can look at me and go, hey, Blue, he missed second base. And I can just call him out because little Johnny said he missed second base.
If absolutely can.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Take the out and go home.
Hey, Bill, I would like to tell you, right? The most safe calls we get, the longer we're out there.
Huh. Is that how that works?
Yeah, Bill. Yeah, because you coming with all these scenarios, we're trying not to get the out. Bill, get the out, bro. Get the out.
You know, it's not about you, Ty. It's about the kids.
No, you're right. It's not about
money
me
on the kids.
But I definitely know how to get the out.
All right.
The kids got to go to school the next day, get the out.
Exactly. All right. I'm going to show an example. We posted this on our YouTube page, I think Friday last week, talking batter interference. This is a batter interference that I got last year. And I had a conversation with a few people on whether they would have called it or not. In my opinion, this was batter interference. And I'll talk you through it once I show it to you. Okay. So I got to get batter's interference on that play.
I'm just trying to figure out how I was the rabbit in this scenario.
You were. Right? So I had batter interference on this play.
I agree. He leaned over the plate. That's batter interference.
I didn't have him just lean over the plate, so I put it right away. You see, still shot of leaning over the plate. And of course, it's going to be a problem. Right. So he swung and missed. That was strike three. He stepped across the plate. In my opinion, this pump was because of the batter. That catcher pumped because the batter was in front of him. Right? He couldn't step forward where he wanted to The runner stopping and going back to first has absolutely no bearing on this play. It looks bad. I get it. But when I make that call, I don't know that he's stopped yet. Right? I don't know that he's stopping and going back. So the call is immediate. You can't wait to make the call. Once you make the call, you got to call it, right? So I'm going to play it again. Right? So from here, got a 2-2 count. Pitch comes in. We got a very, very late steal. Swing and miss, step across the plate. Catcher has to pump fake to not hit the batter. I come out, call time right away. He's out on strike 3. He's out on batter interference. And then the assistant coach attempts to come out and argue. And you just see I'm completely ignoring him because he is not the head coach. Right? That's not Boswell over there.
I like your call. No, I like your call.
I've got a lot of examples of these because I get this all the time.
What do Bill have on that? What Bill have on that one?
I agree. I don't think it's a close call. I think it is clearly batter interference.
Great call, Bill. I just want to make sure you know how to get an out, brother.
Hey, you know, Palmer was giving you the business when he came out right there too.
Yeah, but you see,
Oh yeah, he always.
All right, you can go talk to yourself all you want. Go ahead. Oh, and guess what?
It was a good call.
You remember who was there?
Yeah,
Dennis was there that game.
Yeah.
And Mike goes, oh, "You're getting evaluated tonight. You kicked those 2 calls," and I'm just like, "Okay, dude."
You got 2 that night, and that one right there was on the Bulls catcher, actually.
Yes, it was. Yep, this is the one they had a problem with more than the other one. I have a video of the other one.
What do you mean that was on the catcher? I don't see how the catcher was at fault there.
No, the catcher was the batter. The Bulls catcher was the batter.
Okay. Thank you.
Your best friend, you pissed off.
Yeah. You're about to get hit. I understand.
So throughout the season, I actually just mentioned this to Rolo before we started. Tyrone, if you get any videos too, I think it'd be great to use this as a learning exercise. I don't want to put videos up here of bad calls. I think that's wrong. We're too small of an organization. But I do think that if we find videos from Game Changer or NFHS Network and they're good calls, I think we absolutely should put them up here and say, this was a great call. And if anybody has a question about it, feel free to comment and we'll talk about it.
Now, in football, I get shown all my bad calls, though. I learned from being shown, and there's plenty of them. Please believe me. I learned from seeing what I do wrong. So I'm not personally offended if you throw something up there on me in front of the whole association, which was done in football this year, of me messing up.
Oh, that was you?
Yes, it was.
Gosh, I don't even remember what it was.
First game of the year, baby. First game of the year. But no, I mean, you learn from your own mistakes, and a good umpire or someone who wants to become a good umpire can eat it. At least I do, and I improve from it. So if you want to show a bad play, maybe not from this association, but you learn from seeing what is being done wrong. Is my point.
Yeah, I completely agree. If we can get some videos from other associations or from other places and hey, don't do this, I agree. We'll absolutely put it up. But I don't want to do that here unless if I say I see a video of you, Carl, and you get it and you're like, hey, I want to help other people and post this video up there so other people can learn from my mistakes. I've got no problem doing that, right? I don't want to just put people on blast because that's fine.
Not right. That's understood. Right? And yeah, I'm cool with you checking me first, but yeah, I'll share my mistakes. Just come out to any of my games. You'll see them.
Just find videos of Bill umpiring. You'll find a lot of mistakes.
Wow.
We couldn't go the night without one shot from Rolo.
Rolo, you're going to throw out Gil this year.
Okay, guys, let's call it a night. Anybody got any more questions?
So next week, guys, we don't have a scheduled agenda, so we will meet to review rules. Please send them in. Chris, I got a bunch from you. Rolo, you should have the Google form link. Please send that out with the next meeting invite. We will go through any and all questions everybody has to make sure that you're passing the test. If you're not sure, please ask. We need you on the field, right? We need you varsity eligible. So please don't take it and fail. Please ask questions.
Scrimmage on Saturday, Ty?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for the reminder. Listen, here's something that's very important, guys. If you have not paid your dues, you need to pay them this weekend. Please get your dues paid so we don't run into chasing folks about a dues. Make sure we get them paid up on this Saturday if you have not. If you could be there by 9:30, great. The scrimmage is going to start at 10. So whoever's there, we're going to start scrimmaging with those 3 men first, and then we're going to break it down to the 2-man guys so they can get their work in just as well as us. And after this Saturday, we have one more set, which would be the 9th on a Friday, and that's going to be at Middleburg, and it's going to be 6 p.m. in the evening to get us a little bit of that night training. So therefore, all those that can make it, we would like for you to be there. We need you there because some of us going to have the season starts early for us.
Can you real quick clarify the